Hey guys, Joyce-Anne Anthony, aka JJ. Yesterday we added a chimney to our house and a smoke animation. If you want the blend file where we are right now, there is a link in the description and it's free, by the way. Today we are going to add a background. I want this house to have mountains in the background, so I found an image on Google, so I just click Shift A, empty, and then image. Now with the empty selected, I'm just going to move it a little bit to the left, and then with the data object properties tab, I'm going to click open and then find my image. To make it bigger, you can click shortcut S to scale it. So this will be what I'm going to try to emulate. Right here, I go to the world tab and click the eyedropper to change it to the reference image, but in the end I shouldn't have done this. It's kind of a waste of time. You'll see why in just a second. For this project, I want it to be through camera view, so I'm going to click on the little camera icon, and right now I don't like where it's at, so I'm pressing shortcut N, then view, and then lock, and then right there, camera to view. So wherever I move, my camera will follow. After playing around a bit, I like that, so I'm just going to turn off the camera to view and then press shortcut N for the menu to go away. If you're with me when we did the windows for the house, we added a gradient fill. We're going to do the same thing with the sky. So I'm going to open up I'm going to do a new grease pencil. I'm going to add grease pencil blank because I just want these to be organized. And I'm going to go to draw mode. Right now my 3D cursor is where I left it yesterday at the chimney. I want to move it to kind of far back. That's where I'm going to put the sky. I like to work from all the way back to the camera. So I'm going to do the sky, the mountains, the field, and then the house. Now that the 3D cursor, and to move it, I click shortcut shift and then right click. For the sky, I'm not going to use a texture. I'll just use one of the ink pen, the default brush. And I'm going to go down to the materials tab. Or wait, first, before I do that, let me rename this to stay organized. Okay, now I'm going to go to the materials tab and add a new, and I'm going to go down, I'm going to turn off stroke and keep fill, and I'm going to change that to gradient. First, I'm going to try to see of my reference image, I'm going to get where it's like the darkest, and then I'm going to get where it's the lightest and see how that looks. I'm going to change the radius to a number a little bit bigger. I think that's good. And always save your work as you're going along. I'm always pressing, again, I have a Mac, Command S to save. So I'm going to draw from one edge to the other to see how that looks. Right now, I don't like that. So I'm going to play around with the color settings to find something that looks a little bit better. After playing around a bit, I still don't like it, so I go down and play around with the location, rotation, and scale. Okay, I'm happy with that. And I'm gonna get out of camera view just to remind you that is where my sky is. So I'm gonna move the cursor a little bit closer to the house to draw my mountains. Again, I'm clicking shift A. I'm sorry, not shift A, I'm sorry, shift right click to move the 3D cursor. I'm going to go to my data tab to draw my mountains. And remember, when you are layering, the order matters. So whatever is at the top will be first. So if I move this mountain layer to the bottom underneath the sky, you wouldn't see it, which kind of doesn't make any sense. I'm going to the materials tab to add a new color, add a new fill. I'm just getting an eye drop of the mountains. It's kind of grayish. And with the reference image, I'm just gonna draw the mountains and stop about halfway. Now that I'm looking back, I should have gone in right now and added the lighting and shadows of my background mountain before I drew the next mountain, then the third mountain. It would have saved me a lot of time, but you know, hindsight's always 20/20. Now I'm going in and drawing mountain number 2. And for the last 2 mountains, I'm just doing what I did for mountain number 1. I'm making a new layer and then a new fill layer. This next one, it's gonna be like, I'll make it bluish green. Again, I'm just using the eyedropper tool to find the color of the reference image. I am speeding this part up because again, it's a bit redundant. Now that my mountains are done, I go to add another grease pencil blank, and this is where I do kind of like the field that you see in the reference image. I'm renaming it field, and after I finish that, I do it to be organized, and I rename the previous grease pencil empty that we worked on. I'm gonna name that mountains. Again, hindsight is always 20/20. Once I drew each mountain, I should have added the lighting and the shadows there. And the field that I made a new grease pencil empty, maybe I should have just kept it with the mountains. And with the new field grease pencil empty, I'm organizing. I'm in the data tab and the layers and adding the name. And then I'm going down to the materials tab and adding a new fill layer. And I'm gonna make this like maybe light greenish yellow, maybe yellow. The reason why I'm saying like this hindsight 20/20 is because tomorrow we are going to experiment with depth of field and blurring the background. And you'll see tomorrow, it would have been easier if I made all of this one layer. But today it's fine. But tomorrow, just keep that in mind. I'm moving my 3D cursor again by clicking Shift right click, and I want it to be a little bit closer than the mountains were. Originally, I was just gonna keep the style solid, but as I looked at it, like, what if I change it to gradient and see how that comes out? I need to move my reference image, so I'm going to object mode and then clicking G and then X to move it along the X axis. Just want to see how my field looks like. I repeat that process to draw my foreground. I didn't like the foreground color, so off camera I played with it again, but just to get out of camera view, this is what the background looks like. If you want to move around, let's example like the field. So I'm going to go into, I'm in edit mode, and I'm going to make sure my field layer is selected, and I'm just moving it along the X axis. And I thought the field looked a little bit too straight and organized, so I went into sculpt mode and I just stretched it out a little bit, made it not look so perfect. Now I'm looking at the grass and it does not look good. It does not match my scene. Once I finish coloring the mountains and the field in the foreground, I will adjust that grass. Now I'm going to go back into my mountains. I'm going to go to the textured brushes, and I went over how to download that on day 7, and I'm going to use maybe an oil, yeah, I'll use that. When coloring the mountains, I select the mountain and then I add a new layer on top of it, and this is my masking layer where I'm going to add my shadows and a little bit of lighting. I'm gonna select, because this is mountain number 2. To be honest, as I was drawing the shadows right here, I didn't really like it, but once we got into like the lighting, that's when I was like, okay, I like this textured brush for the mountains. I did speed this part up because I am kind of slow when it comes to coloring. And again, guys, I repeat this process for the field and the foreground. I select the layer, then I add a layer on top of it, and then I select the kind of like the little circle to add the mask, and then I go down to the mask and select the original layer to start adding my lighting and shadows. Once I finish drawing the foreground, the scene is technically, we're done for the day, but a couple things I want to fix. The grass by the house, yes, we did this a couple days ago, but I need to fix that because the grass does not match the scene. Also, a couple days ago when we did the house, the path to the door, the strokes just randomly start in the middle of the path. I'm gonna fix that too. So let me, you know, in our reference image, there's a bunch of dark green trees by the house, so I want to duplicate that. I selected the brown oil textured brush. I'm going to just draw these little trees around the house. With the field, I'm going to just draw some like little circles just to give the field a little bit more, I don't know the right word, but I'm again referencing the reference image. Back to the foreground, I'm just adding more shadows. For the grass, I just ended up deleting what I previously had and went back to the grass texture and tried to find a color that matched my scene better. I went over this on day 20, but to kind of like the best way to think about it is I want my grass to stick to my house. So I changed the stroke placement to surface. After finding the grass color that I liked onto the path to the house, right now I still have the surface stroke placement on, and I'll soon see I do not like that. Let me get out of camera mode. In my layers, I want to turn off this black inking layer. There we go. I think it looks better turned off. Because I have my stroke placement on surface, which you can see kind of like at the top center, the grass is sticking to my house along the trail, along the path. I do not want that. I only wanted that for the grass around the house. For my trail, I'm going to change that. I'm going to change my drawing plane from front to top. I think I should have went to bird's eye view to show you, but I think top is the best option, the best drawing plane option when you're doing like a path or a trail. You'll see why in a second. Now I'm gonna get out of camera view to show you why top drawing plane is the best. As you can see right there, when you have top selected, strokes are drawn on the plane determined by the X and Y axis. Z is locked. As I continue to play with the grass, today's challenge is all about drawing the background and the foreground of the scene. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want the original blend file where we just had the house and the chimney and the smoke but no background drawn yet, please go to the link in the description, which will take you to my Gumroad page. The remaining days of this 31-day challenge is just building of what we learned previously on the previous challenges. This is Joyce-Anne Anthony, aka JJ. See you tomorrow.